and welcome to Framed
Canvas, Cuffs, and
other stuffs. This podcast is about crime.
And art.
And our crime.
Wake up. Pay attention.
We've got art.
And it's juicy.
I feel like, you know, when podcasts start and they're always like halfway through and they're telling like some kind of juicy gossip or story and then they go, are we recording?
Yes.
I feel like one day we should set that up even though we've had a full conversation before this.
And I thought it was a speed bump, but when I looked back, I saw a pair of legs and I just kept driving.
Wait, are we recording?
Oh, wait, what?
I feel like that's a real profesh podcast thing. Like,
I know, but it feels weird because we haven't said hi yet. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Hello,
we need to say
Joel.
hi. Hello.
How are you?
Good. I'm just realizing now as I'm sitting, I decided to put on the shortest pair of shorts that I own, and I'm feeling maybe they're a little bit north of the knee. So sorry, viewers, you're getting a lot of thigh today.
Maybe it will you just see the YouTube views spike. But it's like males aged, because you can get all the demographics. Yes. Like males aged X amount of time.
70 to 95. I'm like, ooh.
Hang on a second. There's a demographic here.
Silver daddies.
You'll take them. How are you, Joe? What's been happening?
Aish.
You know.
I'm doing good. What has been happening? The end of the year is rolling around.
Here we are.
There's light at the end of the tunnel. I can see the finish line. Did it sound like I was going to die? No, I can see the finish line for the end of the year.
Yep.
Work's a little bit hectic, but it's good. Organising a lot of stuff and figuring out what I'm doing for Christmas, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, there's just a vibe around like November, December where you're like, ooh.
I think as well because we're in Australia, like it's like fun spring, summer vibes are coming and it's very like, ooh.
I know. It's so weird that like when we started recording, we were in like big chunky sweaters and now we're in the tiny hot pants.
Like hot pants. Very
Kylie. I'm spinning around. Is that the one where she wore the gold hot pants?
Yeah.
I'm going to be hyper on this episode because before I came here, I've been having these like, they're like
pingers.
It's called MDMA. I had they're these like little Barocca things that have like guarana in them. Oh. And I don't take them because I'm hungover. I take them to start my day. And then of course I come here and I have a nice coffee and I'm about to start crawling up the bloody walls.
Let me out. Well, on that note, what are you recommending to us this week, Joe?
I think you might have to go first because I forgot.
All right. So I'm going to recommend we went and saw the Tina Turner musical here in Melbourne.
Got mine.
So we went and saw that the other week and it was good. The person who plays Tina was excellent.
That's what I've been hearing from everyone is the lady who plays Tina Turner is just unbelievable.
She won't know I said that. No. The problem is because she's so good, makes everyone else in the cast sound shit.
Oh, okay.
So you're like, are these people pitchy or is it just she's just so out of control good?
Oh, I see.
That the rest of the cast are like,
can't reach her level.
Yeah. But you know what? There's a few clunky moments in the musical. Like there's a few storyline where you're just like, oh, this feels a bit like clunky.
Do they go into her relationship with what's his nose?
Yes.
Ike?
They really show that a lot. Like it pretty much
Eat the cake, Annie Mae. I think like there was a movie about Tina Turner.
Oh, I've not seen.
And because her real name's Annie Mae.
Yeah, her real name is Annie Mae.
And he was making her eat a cake or something.
He was very abusive.
In an abusive kind of way.
Yeah, he was very abusive.
Yeah.
And she grew up around abuse. Like her mum was being abused as well. So
Tina.
And then her mum like left her.
Right.
There's a few really funny moments. So Nutbush city limits, obviously all of Australia has a real tie to the Nutbush.
Yes.
But in the start, it's like set and it's kids being like singing a really sad version at church and it's like city limits. And it made me cackle because it'd be like Nutbush.
Hard on the freeway.
Yeah. And then just city limits. And then there's like an overture at another point and you just hear City limits, city limits.
It's like how they do in when you see movie trailers now, and there's always like they use like a popular song, but it's always like a ghostly choir singing it to make it seem like
that.
all bizarre.
We watched the trailer for the Goosebumps, the new Goosebumps.
Goose Ghosts
that's coming out next year, and it had a spooky version of the Kylie Minogue song Can't Get You Out of My Head. And it's like, can't get you out of my head. It was so funny.
It'll be like psychological.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then there was another funny part where so they show a time jump. And so in the show she's got sons and they're actually played by kids, but then like they time jump and the kids are played by adults, but they're playing kids. So so it's like very SNL.
Gotcha.
And she's like, make sure you look, she goes off to London. She's like, make sure you look after your brother for me. And I'm like, it's fine because he's 40. Like,
this seems confusing.
It's confusing, but it's great.
How many Rollin' on the Rivers would you give it out of 5?
Out of 5 Rollin' on the Rivers, I'm giving it a 3.7.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, just purely and you forget how many hits she had.
Yes.
And you forget how she was like famous, then not famous, and then famous again. She really went through peaks and troughs.
She was in Mad Max.
What?
Yeah, Mad Max 2, Beyond Thunderdome.
Oh.
Which might have been the third one. She plays like this this kind of goddess type character in this like cool grungy like steel outfit.
Well, I think
she's got heaps of ties to Australian culture.
I think her music producer was when she got picked up again was an Aussie.
Yeah.
So he did like stuff with Olivia Newton-John, I think, and stuff as well. So she's tied to Oz because of him.
She did a whole bunch of stuff with the rugby union as well. Like back in the day, she was like, she would perform at the rugby union. Like, what's her big anthemic song?
Nutbush City Limits.
She performed the Nutbush City Limits.
And everyone's just like...
Everyone in this... It's so weird. It's like it's like a little thing goes off in our brain and we all like stand up in unison and just start doing... You can't not do the Nutbush.
And I feel like, because I think the internet really showed us that Australia is the only place in the world that has that song, that dance to that song.
Yeah.
And like, no, everyone comes to weddings in Australia and goes, why the hell are you all doing this line dancing song?
America has a version of it. I think it's called like the Electric Slide or something like that, where they have a song where they all know a dance.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like like the Macarena and all that kind of stuff, where everyone just knows what to do.
When did we learn it? Was it at school?
School discos, I reckon.
I wonder when the first inception of it was. Like,
yeah.
What was that first?
Yeah.
And then how did it...
Because is there a music video to it or something where she starts doing it? No. Someone's created the Nutbush. We need to find out who created the Nutbush.
You know what? One day we'll do a deep dive on the Nutbush.
And we'll get them as a guest. 3-hour-long episode about the Nutbush.
It's like, all right, origin story. Also, I'm pretty sure that she was from Nutbush.
Was that the town name?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so that's why it's like...
Nutbush City Limits.
Yeah, it's about her town. And it's like, when you listen to the lyrics, you're like, we shouldn't have been dancing at this in primary school.
I guess I never really thought why it was called Nutbush.
Anyway, that's not about Tina Turner. What are you recommending,
Mine
Joel?
is also a musical.
Oh, Theatre Queens.
Yes. My partner and I were lucky enough to go to the Melbourne opening of Sister Act. The
Casey
musical.
Donovan?
Casey bloody Donovan. Got to tell you, I had the time of my life. Probably one of the better theatre experiences that I've had in regards to the audience, in regards to the show as a whole. It didn't drag on for too long. My only kind of qualm was that Sister Act 1 and 2 are very near and dear to my heart. I love the when Whoopi's character Dolores makes the nuns do kind of gospel music, but in a more like up tempo way. So I was expecting the like, I will follow him wherever he may go.
And then,
they didn't use any of the songs from the movie. So it was all original music. However, they did a really good job of kind of creating that
vibe.
So they were still like well-known kind of gospel-y songs, but with a spin on it, and it was set in the 70s, the musical. So it's got a disco vibe to it, which suits.
Because is it set in the 80s, the movie?
Yeah, I think when the movie came out, it was like set as it was like present day, which I think was like late 80s, early 90s. And she was a performer in, I think, Reno, which is like a smaller version of Vegas.
Yeah.
So it follows the same storylines, but the musical puts it in the 70s.
Yep.
And it gives everything a bit of a disco tinge, which I really liked.
I like this.
Yes. Casey Donovan's vocals were just like, she just does it with such ease.
Yeah.
She was so charismatic.
Oh, she's
very over the top, but in like a good way. You know how like musical theatre, the characters are always like,
hi,
like, oh, hey, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see nothing. Ooh. So she was very animated, but it worked. And Rhonda Birchmore was in it, and she was hilarious.
Yeah.
She plays one of the nuns in the convent, and she's kind of the more like, not grouchy, but more gruff nuns.
Yeah.
And she has some really hilarious moments in it. There's a nun who's obviously meant to be like kind of Kathy Najimy's character in the film. The real giggly, She does such a great job in the musical. And also there is a young actor playing the role of the redheaded nun from the movie.
Yes.
But she's playing that kind of character in the musical. She's blonde, but she's like a younger nun who's quite timid and shy, and then she gets her big moment.
Yeah.
And she's got this powerful, powerful voice, and everyone in the audience was just like,
she's a star.
But they're like, we were laughing together at the end. Everyone was up on their feet. Like, it was so good.
Did they do that thing where they're like, all right, everyone, get up on your feet, and they tell you to stand up?
Nope. We stood up on our dams. Yes. I don't like it so much when they
tell me to.
Yeah.
Come on, everyone, get on your feet. And everyone does. And I'm like, but what if I wanted to sit?
Yes. Yeah, don't make
Tina,
me get up.
What if I wanted to sit?
She made everyone get up.
And to be fair, it was a good vibe. Like, because it kind of goes into the concert, like kind of vibe at the end. But
well, this one, it was kind of at the end. It was like we'd already like everyone was kind of already up because there was a bit of a standing ovation, and then they did their final song, so everyone was still standing and clapping and whatever. But it was so bloody good.
How many Holy Bibles do you give it out of 5?
I give it 4.5 Holy Bibles out of 5 habits.
Oh, back in the habit.
Back in the habit. I'd love to see Sister Act 2 as a musical.
Yes.
Where she teaches the rowdy bunch of kids.
Yeah. Lauryn Hill?
Mm-hmm. Do they do sequels to musicals? Like, would they like a Wicked 2 the musical? No.
Well, they're doing a second Wicked movie.
Well, they've just split the one into two parts. Anyway,
Any-hoozle?
45 minutes later, let's get into the topic.
I feel like I need to start putting timestamps on it. Be like, you're not here for the crime though, right?
Yeah.
You're here for the fun preamble. Alrighty, Joel. For not the final episode, but for the final crime time this year. Crime times. Let's jump in. Let's dive in. It's the first Monday in May in 2018, a night like no other in the fashion world as the glittering chaos of the Met Gala unfolds.
Ooh.
It's just Ocean's 8.
You've just got the synopsis to Ocean's 8 in front of you.
One woman stands out, effortlessly making her way up the grand steps of the museum in a floor-length dress that drapes around her like liquid gold.
Ooh.
The flashes of cameras are blinding, capturing every step, every moment as this exclusive crowd files through the iconic stone halls. But this woman tonight isn't just about her usual red carpet glam. Something catches her eye, a perfect photo op. It's the kind of shot that screams, who wore it better? And if there's one thing this woman knows, it's how to capture a moment that will break the internet.
Me entering the Sister Act musical.
With one quick move, she steps into position, hands off her phone to a nearby friend and waits for the shutter to snap. Within seconds, it's posted to her millions of followers. She doesn't think twice. It's just another photo to add to her collection. But that seemingly ordinary Instagram post It sets off a chain of events, one that will unravel a mystery that's been unsolved for 7 long years. Can you tell me what you think or who you think it might be and what the photo might be?
I thought for a second it was like a lady protesting, but I think that was at a different thing. Mm-hmm. Is it something to do with a necklace? I don't know. I'm sure it'll come to me I'm trying to think.
All right. So we're going to talk about how Kim Kardashian helped solve a case that had been unsolved for years.
I have heard about this.
Let me show you the photo.
Which one is which? No, I'm trying to think of what happened, what the story is. But it's good that I don't because you're about to tell it.
I'm about to tell you all about it. So obviously this is a picture of Kim Kardashian next to a mummy's coffin.
Sarcophagus?
Well, no, the sarcophagus is it the sarcophagus, the little ones?
No, I think a sarcophagus is
the big one as well. I didn't do my research.
A mummy's coffin.
Coffin.
I could be totally wrong.
We'll find out. I'm sure I've written something around it in here. So Kim Kardashian, she's not just a reality TV star. She's a business mogul, an aspiring lawyer. But she was also the catalyst to solving this case. So if you're chronically online like I am, you might have seen this photo floating around. The photo shows Kim Kardashian draped in Versace or Versace, posing effortlessly next to an ancient Egyptian artifact, the golden coffin of, I'm going to mispronounce this name and I apologize, but I believe it's pronounced Nejemunk.
Okay.
It is spelt very strangely, but we'll just call it Neddy's coffin.
Yeah, let's call him Ned.
It's the perfect juxtaposition of modern glamour and ancient history.
So is there a real mummy inside there?
Well, there was at one point.
Okay. Joel, shut your mouth.
There was at one point, but at this point, there is no mummy in that coffin.
Okay.
The Met Museum of Art had just opened a new exhibition, so showcasing one of its most dazzling acquisitions. This was a 1st century BC golden coffin belonging to old Ned, a high-ranking priest, and they purchased it for a staggering $4 million in 2017.
Right.
So that was a lot of money for a little coffin. It was meant to be the crown jewel in the museum's collection, but just 2 months into the exhibition, the museum was forced to shut the show after a shocking discovery. Do you happen to remember what the theme was for that year's Met Gala?
Was it all the like crosses, like romance? No. It was like
it's kind of called heavenly
bodies. Heavenly bodies.
Yeah. So it was a fashion and the Catholic imagination. Mm-hmm. It was more than just a nod to Catholicism. It was about fashion's connection through symbolism, and this Egyptian cotton.
Egyptian cotton, glorious.
So nice when you slip into it. So this Egyptian coffin fit right into the theme because it had a connection between, I guess, ancient Egypt and like the more modern day Greek Catholicism that we know, because they at that point had been taken over. So it had like symbols of not only Egypt, but of also Christianity. So it was a bit of a mix. It was a mixtape. A lot of the things in this exhibition were a mix of those two things. And so when Kim saw it, she said, perfect, I'm dressed like this coffin. I'll take a photo next to it.
Yeah. That mummy has no idea that Kim Kardashian's standing next
to it.
Like, oh no. Oh my God.
I'm ready for my close-up. Let's rewind for a second before this Instagram post went out. Let's talk about how we kind of get to this point.
Yes.
In 2018, a man named Matthew Bogdanos.
Okay.
Bogdanos it probably is, but I've got an Australian twinge. He is the assistant district attorney in Manhattan and is the head of the Antiquities trafficking unit. During this time, he received an unexpected email attached with the now iconic Kim Kardashian photo. Draped in Versace. And he was kind of like, why is someone sending
me a
this
picture of
Kim?
K.
Like, I'm not really that interested. Got bigger things to do. But there was obviously more to this picture than met the eye. So a tip came into him and was delivered by one of his informants. So what happened was the informant said, hey, just so you know, because this post has gone super viral, the person who had smuggled that coffin out of Egypt was told by his partners in crime that they hadn't sold it yet, but he saw the photo and saw it in the Met and said, you've jibbed me out of money because that's clearly been sold to the Met.
Yes.
If he had not looked through, like if this had not gone viral and he hadn't seen it through his phone screen, he wouldn't have realised that this this coffin had been sold. So it kind of starts this chain of events, I guess.
So it's almost like, what's it doing there?
Yeah. He's like, hang on, I've not been paid for the job that I did stealing this coffin.
Yeah. And here
Something's
it is.
up. Here it is.
Next
Someone's
Kim Kardashian.
made someone's made money at some point and it wasn't me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like he's snitching on his other criminal minds.
Yes.
Bogdanos is known for his relentless pursuit of stolen antiquities. Now he's like, okay, there might be something to this. Let me start to piece together some evidence, because you can't just be like, this guy's been stolen. You have to work out, where did this artifact come from, and did it come here in a legal fashion, or was it illegally obtained? Was it a stolen treasure, and how did it end up from getting smuggled halfway around the world? The hunt for answers was on, and this pursuit of justice would lead him deep into the world of art theft, international crime, and a long hidden history that was about to be exposed.
Gorgeous. Love this for us.
Love this for us.
Just ticking all the boxes that we want for this podcast.
Yes.
Thank you, Kim Kardashian.
Thank you, Kimmy. Let's work out how this coffin got here.
Yeah.
It was once a sacred vessel for this ancient priest, and now it kind of takes a darker turn. He ends up finding out that when the tomb was looted, they took the coffin out. There was still a body in it, and they just kind of dumped the body. They just kind of threw it away.
No.
I know, because the body wasn't that important, and also it would be a key identifier of who the coffin belonged to.
That is how you get a mummy's curse.
I know.
Don't mess with mummies.
Don't mess with mummies.
Also, you can use mummy dust to make your paintings.
Make your paintings more beautiful.
Yeah. Get that mummy dust.
Get that mummy dust. So.
Oh no, his poor little body.
I know, just kind of
wrapped
dumped
up somewhere. Dumped.
There is rumors that they dumped it in the Nile River, but I'm like, that seems a bit too far-fetched.
Oh, I hope he just sunk into the ground and a little tree grew.
I
feel bad.
I know. He was just trying to have his last resting place, and
really,
they just
don't disturb him.
Don't disturb him. The lack of body would make it easier to identify who this coffin truly belonged to. Joel, if you were a smuggler, you've just stolen this coffin, how are you getting it across the border and out of Egypt?
I would, and this is present day too, so there'd be a lot of, this would be tricky. If it was the 20s, I'd just
walk it out. Hey, nothing to see here, boys.
I guess I would say that I worked for the British Museum or the Met or something like that, and that it was my job to transport it out.
That's clever.
Or how the hell do you hide a sarcophagus? What would you hide it in? It's big.
It's a big boy.
He's a big boy.
He's a big boy.
As tall as Kim Kardashian.
Literally. So.
I don't know, Steph. Tell me how I would do it.
I'll tell you how you'd do it. Well, you'd call up FedEx.
Yeah, that was my second step.
You'd think it would be super hard, but all that these kind of smugglers did was they called up FedEx, boxed it up, and they mislabeled it. So they said it's just something else. They were like,
toys for children.
Toys for children. No. And they just literally got it shipped through FedEx across the border.
Sure.
Why not? In 2013, it arrives in the United Arab Emirates, where an antiquities dealer takes charge of the operation. Fazeli is kind of the one. Fazeli. He knows how to navigate the complex world of art smuggling, and he also mislabels the artifact, calling it like Greco-Roman antiquity, because at this point we're not supposed to be taking Egyptian antiquities and putting them in different places. He tries to hide the true origin of this artifact, and he is also – so up until this point, I guess the smugglers and things, they're a bit more on that like, you know, on the streets kind of crime, whereas when Fazeli comes in, he's starting to go, all right, now we need to sell this to big business. He's a bit more in a suit and tie.
Yeah.
And he's still a full-blown criminal, but – allegedly. He's still a full-blown criminal, but he's a bit more chic. The relic passed from one hand to the next, and then it was sold to Robin Dibb, a manager at a gallery in Hamburg, Germany. So it's made its way all the way there.
Little sarcophagus is having a little round the world in 80 days moment.
Yeah.
Global All-Stars.
Global All-Stars. What he did was his job. So at this point, the coffin doesn't look like it does today. It was dirty. It hadn't been restored yet. So it was kind of just a bit more beaten up and didn't have that beautiful gold allure.
Yes.
So while it's in Hamburg, this guy takes on the restoration duties and makes sure that it comes up to looking like a stunning piece that then he can go and sell off to someone.
Okay.
So allegedly, he also, so I'm going to say allegedly what he also does is forge an Egyptian export license. So this is
easy stuff
to do. He sets it up. So we're in about 2013-ish. He's made it look like this was able to be exported in the 1970s. So he's backdated it.
Okay.
And he's gone, yeah, it's fine. Egypt's let us do this. So that's one of the things that he does to kind of prove that this was legally obtained.
So he's like, oh, yeah, we've had the paper since the 70s.
Yeah.
Okay.
He makes up a lie like it was in someone's house for since the 70s and they got it
because
legally.
then it's like, they've had this since the 70s.
Yeah.
Like it seems too hard to kind of look into and – you know, trace it all back or whatever. So it's legit.
It's legit.
Yeah.
With the coffin so then the coffin makes its way to a French antiquities dealer and they set up the sale between them and the Met.
Yes.
So we're starting to kind of come back to where we started. So they sell it to the Met for $4 million. The Met obviously wants to obtain as many of these antiquities as they can. So for $4 million, they're like, yeah, this seems fine. But it's kind of, so this is where the Met kind of gets into murky waters because there are multiple red flags that come up around this sale because you wouldn't necessarily buy something that you thought had been stolen, especially in 2017.
Yeah.
We have a bit more of a understanding of how things happen. How had this seemingly pristine artifact never been seen before? There's no photo documents of it previous to this timeline.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like, it's been around since the 1970s, and they're like, where are the photos?
It could be made out of paper mache for all they know.
For all they know, do some bloody testing on this thing. There's no provenance to this thing, which is usually the number one thing we need to keep it pushing. Obviously, they asked for proof if this had been legally obtained by the person, and they provided that fake Egyptian export license to the Met, which the Met should have picked up on that it was fake because it kind of was a bit dodge. Like it wasn't like pristine.
You'd feel like the Met would have a pretty legit team looking into all these things.
Yeah, you'll that this kind of changes how the Met runs things.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So they kind of accepted the paperwork without really questioning it any further.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, when you look back, you kind of go, really? Like, you probably should have done a bit more digging around where this had come from. So this kind of turns out to be the key piece of information that unravels anything. But let's talk about why antiquities are and how they're kind of trafficked around the world. So antiquities is actually one of the number one kind of global crime things that happen in the world, up with like weapons and all of this kind of stuff, trade happening, weapons and drugs, and then it's like antiquities, stuff like that.
Because there's so much money in it.
There's so much money in it. So antiquities trafficking is one of the top 5 global crimes. I guess we don't really think about it here as much because we're not in a war-torn country. But when conflict arises, especially if it's involving terrorist groups, what will happen is the terrorist group will go in and loot the country of all of its antiquities and all of these things.
Yes.
Because they can then sell it on the black market and make money for their campaign and regime.
Yeah.
So what you'll find is, in like Iraq and stuff, a lot of artifacts were stolen and then resold to fund terrorist groups, which is something I actually had no idea about.
Yeah.
So it's a really kind of devastating cycle because what happens is these historic pieces kind of go missing during war. So because as well, like,
because they get handled so much and it's like kind of past the parcel vibes.
Yeah. And when you're in a war-torn country,
where's it gone?
Yeah, the last thing you're thinking about is keeping artifacts safe. You're thinking about keeping
yourself safe.
Yourself safe.
Yep.
So it's kind of like all of the defenses drop. No one gives a shit. And then so apparently what happens when there is like war that breaks out, the black market picks up as well because all of these trades are happening, which is super interesting.
Yeah.
But also very depressing.
Because, and also things get lost in the mix. And
Or a private collector buys it. And then all of a sudden,
you never see it again.
Yeah, the Mona Lisa's hanging in Napoleon Bonaparte's bedroom. Like, it's literally been happening for years.
Yeah.
So
get out of there, Mona.
Get out of there, Mona.
You go home.
Go home. Back
to the Louvre.
This kind of is how the trade works. And the story of the coffin, it's not kind of really just about the stolen art. It's also about a larger issue of cultural erasure and the kind of dark underbelly of the art world.
Yeah.
And how, it's that question of everything in the British Museum.
Yes, is
stolen. So that's a bigger conversation to have. Let's just talk about.
We've got the Pharaoh exhibit happening right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think
our lovely friends, the NGV.
Hey, NGV, never heard from you.
Goes TikTok. It's coming up. We haven't got a call yet.
Yeah, so
we would love to go.
We'd love to go. Yeah. I don't know, maybe next year, but
no, this year.
This year. Just give us a call. We've sent you an email. Check your inbox.
Yes.
Before we jump into the finale of this story, let's talk about mummies in general.
Mummy talk.
I've just found some interesting facts around mummies for you, Joel. What do you know about mummies?
That they are friends with vampires and werewolves.
Werewolf bar mitzvah.
You're either a mummy, a werewolf, or a vampire.
What are you?
They're the 3 genders. Werewolf vibes. Yeah. Werewolf's a bit sexy, to be honest.
Werewolf bar mitzvah. Spooky, scary. Boys becoming men. Men becoming wolves.
I used to think the people who got mummified I thought it was a form of like torture, but apparently it was the opposite. It was preserving really important people at the time.
And it was thought, I guess, how you got to the
excuse me,
how you got to the afterlife as well. So and the higher up you were, the better the, I guess, ceremony you got. And
yes,
more
and it preserves the body quite amazingly. As well,
it is pretty wild.
But as far as mummies go, besides the movie The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, I don't know much about them.
Well, I'm just
they're little. They were little.
Little.
Well, people were just little, smaller back then.
Have you seen like the rendering they did? I think they did it during COVID.
Of Tutankhamun? Yeah.
He did not look well.
He did not look quite right.
Let's talk about him. He's my first fact of the day.
Toot.
Oh, Toot. So Tutankhamun actually, when he was alive, was not that famous of a pharaoh. He was a minor pharaoh, would you believe? So he was overshadowed by his mother Nefertiti. And
his mum was Nefertiti.
Tutankhamun actually became more famous after he died because his tomb survived nearly 2,500 years without being robbed or ruined.
No one wanted Toot's goods.
Toot's goods. So it was leaving this magnificent grave in good tact and intact, not intact. However,
yes, thank you. I didn't want to correct you myself, but I'm glad you did.
And that's kind of why there was all those rumors that it was cursed. Like anytime you took an object out, it would curse you.
Yes.
So his didn't get
the mummy's curse.
The mummy's curse. 2, mummies were popular entertainment before cinema.
How so?
How so? Let me tell you. Mummies have fascinated people since ancient times, but in the 19th century, mummies started to become a form of mass entertainment. Mummies were toured around towns. They would be taken out on little exhibits and they would be unwrapped in front of public displays.
Don't unwrap the mummies.
Don't unwrap them in front of people.
Oh, how vulnerable.
And so there was little to no care taken with these with the preservation. So a lot of
I'd be
mummies.
so mad if I was a mummy getting unwrapped in front of a bunch of people.
And going from town to town.
Yes.
Like, hey guys, just going to go see the mummy
On
unwrapping.
strings. A hip.
Everybody would go and flock to see these mummies unwrapped.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Why?
Don't unwrap the mummies.
Don't unwrap. Curses on your houses. There was also a mummies in Italy. Would you believe? So there was
Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia. That's the name of this episode.
Yes.
Mummy
Mia. Mamma Mia.
For centuries, the town of Venzone in a region of Italy.
You've got pasta on your shirt.
I've got pasta on my shirt. I nearly went, did I? I've got pasta on my shirt.
Italy.
In Italy, there was an intriguing 40 medieval bodies found in a church's crypt.
Ew, the ones lining up?
Yeah, so there's all these women holding these mummy bodies.
Oh, they've put little dresses and shorts on them. Don't hold the mummies.
So no one really knows how this occurred because it wasn't like in Egypt where it was a specific thing.
Yeah.
So they think that these were mummified because people were buried in the church and then like fungus and stuff kind of preserved the bodies.
Right, okay.
So it was very strange.
The one at the front, he's a tall mummy.
Fact number 4. The process of mummification took over 70 days.
70 days?
70 days, this ceremony.
Smokes.
So you'd have to first wash the body, removing all of the internal organs except for the heart. You threw the brain away as well. The brain did not matter. The organs were separately preserved in jars and they were also buried with the mummy for the afterlife. And then they'd kind of bury the body in salt to dry it out.
Yes.
And then they'd stuff the body with linen and then they'd wrap the body in meters and meters and meters of linen, enough linen to cover multiple basketball courts. That's how many like meters of linen they used.
Weird unit of measurement.
That was what came up. I was like, all right. While they were wrapping the body, they would obviously say prayers, put amulets in, and it was essentially the taxidermy of people because sometimes they put like little fake eyes on at the end.
Googly eyes.
Little googly eyes.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, it was essentially the taxidermy of people.
There you go.
There you go.
It sounds almost like they're making cured meats, like beef jerky.
Yeah, like salami.
Yes.
And the final fact is, which is my favorite, and we've already talked about it, mummy dust.
Mummy dust.
So mummies' remains were made into paint around the time when everyone was looting and horloring.
Yep.
It is called mummy brown paint, or also known as caput mortuorum, which essentially translate to dead man's head or Egyptian brown.
Okay.
So
I prefer mummy dust.
mummy dust is way better. So it's made from the grinding up of ancient Egyptian dead. In order to turn the mummies into paint, they had to be imported into paint factories and then they were ground up and put into paint. A lot of the artists at the time are believed to not have known that
there's a mummy in my
there.
paint can.
But there is also a famous painting that is allegedly got mummy dust in it, which I put on the iPad for you, Joel. It is called Liberty Leading the People. You will probably know this painting.
Oh, this painting.
This painting. So it is alleged that this particular painting has mummy dust.
Mummy dust.
It's also a Coldplay cover album.
Yes, that's, Viva La Vida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mummy dust there too.
Oh, there you go. Do you think there were booby traps in pyramids?
Yes. Do I think all pyramids and all boobies?
All pyramids and boobies.
Boobies cursed. You touch some boobies, you're getting cursed.
I think they were, but I just think of the logistics of the engineering of creating such booby traps in how they built the pyramids. We can't even go into all of that. That is just...
Was it aliens?
Well.
Yeah, I think that 100% all of these, I guess, tombs were...
Like Indiana Jones vibes, like step on a column and then the spikes come out of the wall.
Snakes come out and eat you alive. I think so.
Yeah, right. Well,
Because
we'll have to go check.
I mean, next season, right? We've got the budget for it.
Framed takes Egypt.
Ooh, I don't think we want to go there right now.
We'd be kidnapped within our first hour.
Literally get off the plane. It's like, hey, you want to jump in this car?
Taxi.
Wow. I feel like we would be so annoying.
It's got taxi written on the side in red spray paint.
Come
take
on,
it, Steph.
This seems safe. Absolutely not. So there's just some 5 fun mummy facts for you, Joel.
Loved those mummy facts.
Love mummies.
Love mummies. Stop. Mummeter. Sorry.
How are you going to get through the next episode is really the question.
It'll be a weird one.
It'll be wacky. Let's go back to, so we've had mummy time.
Yeah.
Let's go back
mummy
to
facts.
Mummy facts. Let's go back to 2012. So this is the district attorney, Bogdanos.
Yes.
He's the one who set up the antiquities trafficking unit. He saw the rise in stolen artifacts long before it became a public concern. So he kind of assembled his team to look into it a bit more. And he understood the link between war and theft and noticed that organised groups, especially terrorist fractions, were increasingly targeting war-torn regions. So he had noticed in 2013 that there was a German crime ring suspected of looting heavily in Egypt. So this is kind of where this is well before, obviously, that photo went viral. So he had been watching this group and he was like, cool, we need to start to surveil them and like tap their phones and read their emails and that kind of thing, because they're doing something we just can't place them we can't convict them.
Yes. Shady business.
Shady business is happening. What they'd uncovered with this German crime ring was that it was a global multi-million-dollar trade in stolen artifacts, but they had no concrete evidence to shut it down. So this is when the breakthrough came. When they emailed this photo, he said, "This looks awfully familiar. Why have I seen this photo, like the mummy's coffin before? Like it seems familiar." So then what he did was he scoured through like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos, and he had found communication with this German crime ring, but the mummy's photo was like before it had been restored. So I
wonder how big the difference was.
Yeah, it was like covered in dirt, looked horrible, like not shiny and beautiful like it does today. So he was able to link that artifact that he had been searching for had slipped through the cracks of international law and made its way to the Met. So this was now on his radar. So then he had to do his due diligence of tying everything together. And that's when he went in and looked at, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Where, like, guys, this is kind of fake, provenance that you've got.
Come from Katnado.
When the coffin was finally restored and put on display at the Met, it looked nothing like the muddy relic it had once been. And the funny thing was that this photo of this coffin had been all around New York for ages. So he had been seeing this photo time and time again.
Yeah.
He just couldn't place the two together until he got this one piece of information from this smuggler. So despite the shocking discovery, the Met, so he approached the Met and was like, hey, I'm going to look into this. And despite that, the Met fully cooperated with the district attorney's office. In a 2019 press release, they stated they had no knowledge of the coffin's illicit origins, and they were not charged with any wrongdoing in this case.
I mean, it just showed up to them.
Yeah.
And they took it.
I guess like the question is, did they ignore the fact that the provenance was a bit dodgy?
Yes.
Or did they see the red flags or didn't they is really the question.
And you'd think a place like the Met would.
Yeah. And you think that they would, alert someone if something was.
But the whole gimme of it all might have overshadowed that.
Yeah. And, we saw that in the last case we talked about how if you want something bad enough, it almost kind of comes into fruition, like with faking paintings and all this kind of stuff. So they wanted this thing bad enough that they were like, well, it looks legit enough that I'll believe it.
Yes. Like the Mundi.
There we go. We're learning, people.
I am. Oh, I love that I've got so many things to like talk about with people and people who like listen.
And you're just like.
And they bring up little bits of the episodes and I remember what we talked about.
I know, like one of my friends the other day, she was like, the talking cat in our Conjuring episode. And I was like, you know what? How's your brother Bill?
Your brother says hello.
How's your brother Bill doing? My brother's dead. I know.
Shut up, cat.
Shut up, you sneaky little cat. They've never been, the Met was never charged. Weirdly enough, though, the looters made a really, pardon the pun, a really grave mistake.
Yep.
They left behind a finger bone inside the coffin so they could like trace it and really tell that it had come from somewhere.
Crawling along.
Stink finger. So they left a finger behind, which could help with finding the origins of this coffin.
Yes.
In 2019, Egypt's foreign minister was invited to New York to take the coffin back to its rightful home. So the relic was once lost in the sands of time, was escorted via motorcade to the airport and flown back to Cairo, where today it resides in the Grand Egyptian Museum.
Kim Kardashian helped it find its way home. That's nice.
She did it.
Yes.
Since then, the Met has barely addressed the situation and has made beyond vague statements about the future efforts to prevent similar incidents from happening. They kind of say, we're just going to get better at looking at provenance.
Yeah.
Hope for the best. But the theft still resonates and brings up the question, A, has the Met learned its lesson? Will this happen again? And B, are we trying to find where these artifacts belong and get them back to the homes that they belong to?
Yeah.
So.
But aren't essentially all artifacts that are at these museums and stuff like that, majority of them are stolen.
Yeah. And it's a matter of like, I guess.
But you have to, you have to do it the right way.
Yeah. And like, you can return it back to its country of origin and then they can loan it out. And you can pay the fee to have that loan. Yeah. So I think the thing now with, man, it opens up a whole can of worms. There's a whole series we could do on this, but if just there was one recently with a First Nations artifact that was returned to them, and it gives them the right to be able to loan it out if they see fit, but they have to be compensated for that. Whereas like who's making the money where is the question.
Yes.
Because the Met, once they bought this $4 million coffin, they're making all the money off that, So it's like, well, shouldn't Egypt get to make some money off something, that they once had?
I just don't reckon you should mess with people's resting places.
No, I think there's something
icky about it.
Very
cursed. I just think if someone has been laid to rest and that's their place, don't move them. Don't take them away. Don't put them on display. Don't do any of that. Just like let them be. Because now you've got a mummy walking around being like, where's my finger? And he's going to be searching for it.
Yeah, ghosts.
Yeah.
Unfinished business.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't dig up the dead.
Nah.
Unless it's to solve a crime that we really need to solve.
Yes. If it's for crime reasons, I guess.
But then get permission put them back and get permission from the family and don't be just digging.
Yeah. Don't go digging.
Had that Instagram photo never gone viral, had the looter not been double-crossed by his partners and tipped off this insider, and had the team not gotten involved, had Bogdanos' team not gotten involved, this piece of history might have slipped through the cracks. Its true origins forever hidden. It's chilling to think that the golden coffin could have remained in the Met, admired by millions, but its past stolen and unknown.
Thank God Kim decided to take a
that
photo
selfie.
next to it.
So yeah, we can thank Kim Kardashian for that amazing crime that was solved.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Kim.
We should just thank Kim Kardashian at the end of every episode.
I mean,
for all she's done.
You know what? If for all she's done for the world, Kris Jenner, if you really wanted to come on board with this podcast, I'll make a deal.
Wow. And that's so fascinating because I do recall seeing that photo. It might have been a thing where I didn't kind of look that much into at the time, but I knew that was circulating around. But it's almost like it went away as quick as it came.
Oh, yeah. It was fleeting. And then I think no one really thinks about the story behind it and what actually happened.
Because something
after.
pop culture must have happened like straight after that overtook all of it.
I can't even remember what happened at the start of this year.
But I remember that Met Gala because that was the one I think Rihanna wore the Pope hat.
Yeah, I believe so. That was one of the best.
Yes.
Now this year it's like men's fashion, I think they've announced it. It's like specifically like the history of black men's fashion for this. Ooh. So I pray they do it right.
Yes.
Because I think that the thing with this theme potentially is like it's not just about the clothes that you wear. It's like the lifestyle, there's a whole bigger element. And
and
you know how like with camp, it was like kind of could have been much.
So many people missed the mark with camp. Oh, that was let down.
Yeah. So I hope.
Carly Kloss, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
Was it Carly Kloss? She did that picture being like, looking camp right in the eye. And she wore like a little black dress.
Yeah. It's like, come on, girl. Come on.
Camp it up.
Camp it. But anyway, yeah, that Heavenly Body is one of the best.
That was such a fascinating story, Steph. And I love the fact that we got to talk about mummies and mummy facts. Mummies. I rope in with spooky stuff, which you know I love.
You love a bit of spook?
Mummy's probably like the more underrated of the three genders.
The three genders.
Mummy, werewolf and vampire.
Let us know.
So I'm glad she got her chance to shine today.
Yeah, mummies all round.
Yeah. Here's to the mummies.
Here's to the mummies out there. As always, follow us.
Follow us.
Comment, like, subscribe, leave a review. It helps. This will be the second to last episode, I guess.
Yes.
And
so of this season.
Of this season. We will be back.
We will be back.
But we're going to have a fun little roundup.
Yes.
Coming to your ears soon. And as always, have a great day.
Yes. Engage. Talk to us.
Yes,
we love
please. We do love it, even though we don't take hate comments well.
No.
We love the engagement, please.
Yes, we love it.
We'll take it.
We will stew on it, but we do love it.
All right.
Bye. Watch out for mummies.